I'm going to tell you something scary. You might have lived the very day that could have changed your life. And you didn't even treat it like it mattered. Why do we do this? Why do we live life as if we have 700 years to live? Why do we think that we'll have this magical day called tomorrow? But I already talked about this. I'm talking about today. Why do we treat today as if it's just another day? Why do we think that we can just do whatever we want and there not be any consequences for our decisions? What if every decision that we make has weight? What if every decision we make is actually heavier than we think it is? Now, each decision that we make on a daily basis from moment to moment is slowly but surely molding the life that we are soon to live. Many of the times that we actually struggle, it's a self-imposed struggle. But it's not an intentional self-imposed struggle. A lot of us have these self-inflicted trials. And it's all because of those decisions we made in those days that we felt like didn't matter. We'll always pay the price for whatever decisions, whatever thoughts, whatever thing we say. We'll always pay the price for whatever it is that we put out. Whatever it is we put out shall come in. Haven't you realized that everything we do is producing some kind of energy? We're walking big balls of energy. All we're doing is constantly radiating energy every day. Even if we don't do anything at all, we're still burning energy. Isn't that fascinating? We could sit here perfectly still and still burn energy. So if we speak something, if we do something, if we put something out there, some outward action, how can we expect to not see the repercussions? Many times we may understand that there's consequences to wasting these moments in this day that we think is insignificant. We may think about the consequences, but we still take action on doing the wrong thing or doing nothing at all, because inaction actually happens to be an action, and it actually happens to lead us somewhere despite us not doing anything. Everything we do is just altering the path and is determining where we land. You realize if a plane takes off at a certain trajectory, and if the pilot decides they're going to move it just a couple degrees, you realize that on that same path that they were flying, they'll end up in a completely different place miles away just by a few degrees of a tweak. It's as if you started in Los Angeles and you were heading to New York City, but you shifted a couple degrees and now you're in Philadelphia. This is the same way that our lives work with each one of our actions. Do we start taking it seriously now? Or do we just get impacted a little bit and then, oh yeah, I'll get around to that. Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I like that. Oh, that hit me. I felt that one. But then stay the same. We can watch all the motivation, all the inspiration. We can watch everything that we need to watch to get us fired up. But does it really matter if at the end of the day or the next day or the next week we end up going right back to who we used to be? Does any of it actually matter? If we decide to stop being... if we decide to be inconsistent, then they'll never change. But it's not just about being consistent. It also has to do with who we are on the inside, the core, the identity, Because we can change the surface level actions, but if we don't change the core being of ourselves, then we'll always just go back. So if we have that identity of that person who wastes days, who's lazy, who takes forever to do something that we know that can be done today, if we identify as that kind of person, we will remain that person. And the change will never stick. Therefore, we'll stay in a perpetual loop of flying in a direction with shifted degrees, landing in a destination that we actually don't really want to be in. But it's up to us to begin today, or to not begin at all and continue in this trajectory, or be like that grocery bag you see flowing through the wind, landing every which way, never having a true destination. Just allowing the wind to determine, or in other words, the life that they live to determine where they end up. So ultimately, if you made it to this point in the video, I greatly appreciate you. Thank you. And I hope to see you in the next video. Adios for now.